Hi everyone.
Hey.
So you've crafted a brilliant idea for a tech talk, perhaps even built a presentation around it. Yet despite all efforts, you keep getting that discouraging no from conference organizers year after year. Could it be that you're just approaching it incorrectly? What if I told you there are measurable, actionable steps you can take to take your brilliant idea out of your head and into the stage? So, hi everyone, my name is Moran Weber. I'm the CEO and founder of Women on Stage. Women on Stage is a public speaking training platform for professional women in tech to take the stage, share their knowledge, and inspire others to grow. In my previous background, I have 10 years of experience working as a software engineer. I was mainly working for Wix, and other than that, I'm also a social psychologist, meaning I have a master's degree in social psychology. And I'm here today to share with you some of my best tips on how to write a compelling CFP or conference submission that will actually help you to get your foot in the door and get accepted into major tech conferences worldwide after reviewing and editing hundreds of those in the past few years as part of my work at Women on Stage. So first things first, what is a CFP anyway? So a CFP usually stands for call for papers or call for proposals. And in most cases, we use the term CFP both for the open call for papers the conference is calling for, and also for the part where we submit the actual submission. So you might say, I just submitted a CFP to DevRelCon, or my CFP was just accepted to DevRelCon. And in this workshop today, we're going to review some of my best guidelines and tips for writing the compelling CFP that will get your foot in the door in major conferences worldwide. So this session is going to be divided into 3 sections. First, we're going to discuss how we can choose a topic, how do we spark our creative mind, and where do we find inspiration. Later, we're going to discuss what a good CFP actually entails. It includes the title, the abstract, and the bio, and I'm going to share some guidelines on how to write those. And later, you will get a chance to craft your own and try to play with it a little bit. So, how do we choose a topic? Where do we find ideas? So, many people often say, I don't have anything interesting enough to share, I don't have anything important enough to say, everything was already done before, I don't have anything original to say. So I cannot stress this enough. Sorry? I cannot stress this enough. You already have your own unique experiences, your own unique perspective, your own unique stories, and you have tons of interesting insights to share. But the most important thing to remember is that you have to choose something that makes you passionate, that sparks your creative mind. And one problem that we often have is what I call is a cognitive bias called the curse of knowledge. Is when we know a lot of stuff and we do a lot of stuff on our day-to-day work. And because of that, we think everyone knows the same thing too, knows the same things. So the problem is that we don't always know what we know. And we don't always know what our audience doesn't know. So it's really important when you submit a CFP, you have to know your audience. You have to know who they are, what they're looking for, and usually the session depth will vary according to the session. The session's length will vary according to how deep you want to go. And it's okay to assume prior knowledge, but you probably want to aim to the majority of your audience. approximately 80% of your audience. But the most important thing to remember is that you must create value for your audience. You have to remember that it's not about you, it's about them. So even if you're trying to sell something, or even if you're trying to market your product, you can't be too blunt about it. You have to shift your focus from trying to sell something into communicating with your audience, into providing them actual knowledge and actual value and sharing your knowledge with them. So you have to do that shift in your focus into communication. So where do we come up with ideas? How do we spark our creative mind? I want to be clear here that even the most trivial ideas, even the most common knowledge ideas can also be creative. And I want to give a little example of someone I know who used to be a junior developer, and she wrote a blog post about the difference between synchronous programming, async programming, and parallel programming. It's not a very, very, very sophisticated kind of thing, but she brought her own unique self and created like a drawing of explaining the difference between those. And her blog post was shared all over, even by really senior people on Twitter. And it was like a huge, huge success because she's brought something unique and different to the table. So how do we come up with ideas? I want to give you like a list of things that might spark your creative mind. So people and developers in particular are usually very interested in hearing about real life stories, real life case studies, and they want to learn about the challenges you face. They want to learn about how you encountered a problem and how you solved it. They don't want to hear about how everything was always perfect. They want to learn about a journey, about a struggle, and how you solved that particular problem. They want to learn about a comparison between, you can do a comparison between some tools, between frameworks, between methodologies. And you can play with the title, like mobile native or React native. That is the question. You can always do an intro session for one particular domain into another domain. For instance, intro to machine learning for web developers. So that might create a lot of value for them. And it seems like it's junior for data scientists, but it's really, really important for web developers, especially these days. You can showcase a special project or a product that you made. And we previously had someone on our courses who had a session about how she's using NLP to identify potential suicides, and it was really, really, really interesting. You can explain how a framework is working under the hood, and people always really like it when we're busting myths about something. For instance, busting myths about women in tech, or learning to code, not what you thought. Another thing that I personally really, really, really like is creating a fusion between supposedly unrelated domains. For instance, what I learned from being a musician about clean code. So if you have like a hobby or something that you do that's really special to you, you can combine it with your day-to-day work, and that's always very, very, very interesting. You can talk about the evolution of something or the future of LLMs, for instance. You can use a known phrase or a TV show that you like, or a movie. We previously had someone who did a talk about web vulnerabilities as Mean Girl characters. It was hilarious, okay? And people love that. 3 tips for doing something, or best practices for designing an API. Lessons learned from doing something repeatedly. Okay, I bet that most of you don't know how many lines of code you've previously read or how many lines you've previously written, because you don't really follow those numbers. But if you check them on GitHub and you add a title called Lesson Learned from Reviewing 10,000 Lines of Code, suddenly it sounds like, wow, I did all of that, and it's really impressive. And lastly, do's and don'ts. For instance, the 7 deadly sins of onboarding engineers. Okay, so take a few, great. Going next, I'm going to give you some real examples of graduates we had in our courses. These are all very, very cool. Stop confusing me with confusion matrices, using visual tools to improve communication. How to party with third-party APIs. Shadow DOM is coming out of the shadows. The secret sauce of data pre-processing in machine learning. All these but goodies, why classical machine learning still rocks. Why I stopped hating Python. So it's always like a little bit of a clickbait, but it's not too cheap. Think as a platform. Build your own Lego model, connecting historical data to improve models accuracy. Or fun with tree, get to the root of some classification. Okay, so I hope I gave you a few ideas on how to find inspiration, where to find inspiration for choosing your title and choosing your topic. Now let us talk about the CFP itself and what does it entail. So once again, CFP stands for the call for papers or call for proposals, and it usually includes the following: the title, the abstract, and your personal bio. Now, let me tell you a little secret. Many people invest a lot of time perfecting their presentation without ever knowing if they have the proper stage to deliver it. So you don't need to create the entire presentation before you actually get accepted, because sometimes different conferences will have different guidelines and different things that they're interested in and different lengths. So you don't need to create the entire thing. First, just create the CFP, just create your submission, and then you can try and see what happens next. Let's talk about the title. First impressions really matter, okay? Imagine yourself coming to this conference today, okay? We have a few multiple tracks at the same time. Now, how do you choose where to go? You look at the title, you don't look at the entire abstract, you don't check out on the speaker. Sometimes you do, but usually you just look at the title, and by the title you decide where you want to go. So conference organizers do the same thing, okay? Imagine you're getting hundreds of submissions from people all over the world, and then they need to decide, they need to screen somehow which will be the best talk to choose. So they usually decide based on the title. Only if the title is interesting enough, they will go on and read your abstract and read your bio and do a little checkup on you. But the title is really, 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 really important. And I want to show you with a little example of another cognitive bias called the primacy effect. So what is your perception on someone? Let's say we have someone who's intelligent, ambitious, impulsive, critical, stubborn, or envious, versus someone who's envious, stubborn, critical, impulsive, ambitious, and intelligent.
Oh, that's good.
Who do you like better?
Definitely the first one.
But those are the same characteristics, exactly the same characteristics. So the order doesn't really matter. But we just read the first one, and then we decide if we like them or not. Going next, let's see a few examples of do's and don'ts for the title. So as for, like the examples I gave you before, I like to call it the clickbait part, but it's a clickbait in the sense where you want to grab their attention, but you don't want it to be too cheap, okay? So a few nice examples for that is this one is a talk I have, 7 plus minus 2 reasons psychology will help you write better code. So the 7 plus minus 2 is like an interesting number. I'm curious to learn more about it, and then it will make me want to read more. I will share with you the abstract of that talk shortly. Or, Daddy, where's my Arduino? And that talk is actually for a colleague of mine who gave this talk with his 12-year-old daughter. And they talked about how they're building Arduino projects together. It was amazing. Okay, so the title also has to be very accurate and very descriptive. Okay, we need to really understand what it's about. In a sense, like, okay, so slay the dragon, how to rewrite a monolith into microservices and stay alive. Or show me the garbage, understanding garbage collection. And the other side of that is that we don't want it to be too vague, okay? So we need to know what it's about. For instance, lessons I've learned in my life. Okay, that might be interesting, but I have no idea what it's about, and I need more context. Or everything you need to know about the cloud. I'm sure that's not everything I need to know about the cloud. I need more context here. Or machine learning fundamentals. Okay, that's a really, really huge thing. I need more context here. So you can't be too vague. The abstract. The abstract is usually a short paragraph. On average, it's between 120 to 200 words. And once again, it starts, once again, like the title, we have the primacy effect for the abstract as well. Because the first 2 lines, or the way you start your abstract, has to be like the clickbait part, or the TLDR, once again, like we have in the title. So it will help you decide if you want to read further or not. So the first part of the abstract, which is called, once again, it's based on the primacy effect. Its goal is to loop you into the topic on a higher level. Okay, so once again, you need to make it appealing. It can be like a short quote or a short story. I will share an example soon. And afterwards, you drill into the topic with the body of the abstract. And you tell more, you give a little more insight about the problem, about the use case, about the problem that you're dealing with, and you really need to answer the question, why does it matter? Why should we care? Why it's important? And the last part of the abstract is the what's in it for me, okay? What are you going to talk about exactly? And especially, what are the key takeaways you're going to give to your audience? So people will say something like, in this talk, I will demonstrate, I will discuss, I will explain, or by the end of my talk, you will be able to. So let us see an example of that. Remember the 7 plus minus 2 reasons psychology will help you write better code? Okay, so let's start with the clickbait part, or with the primacy effect part. During the Cold War, the CIA knew how to expose Russian spies disguised as American citizens with 100% certainty. They used only a piece of paper and a few questions. How did they do that? Hacking your mind is easier than you think. Okay, I didn't even mention code, but I got you intrigued. I got you interested in learning more. And then I drill down into the topic. Let's explore how these mental hacks affect the code we all read and write. We'll take a stroll through the world of cognitive psychology and shed some light on some of our industry's best and worst practices. And the last part, the what's in it for me, we'll have a few interactive examples of our mind's limitations, examine how these limitations manifest themselves in real code samples and engineering practices, and take away scientifically backed techniques on how to write better code. Let's see another example. The Daddy, Where's My Arduino? It's almost midnight. Me and my daughter are looking for jumpers, matrices, and resistors. There is a bug in the game we're building, and it doesn't seem as if we're going to bed anytime soon. So this is a great example because he's not saying, me and my daughter like to build Arduino projects. He's not really saying that. He tells a story, and it helps us be there with them at midnight, which is really, really, really cool. And then he drills down into the topic. Teaching kids recursion and data structures didn't create the thrill I thought it would, but building games does. My daughter Ronnie and I will talk about introducing kids to the world of programming, 3D printing, Scratch, Arduino, AliExpress orders, and hot glue. And then the what's in it for me, what they're going to talk about exactly. We'll cover the existing tools from which kids can learn how to code, at what age should they start, and which projects to choose, and why girls at schools are anxious about coding. Is it a boys' club already before high school? This is also really cool because he's ending with a question, and that question makes us want to learn more. We're curious. He doesn't give away the answer to that question, and then we really want to hear that talk. Any questions, by the way? Okay, let's go on. So the bio. The bio is also a short paragraph between 120 to 200 words, and it should include 3 major parts in it. The order doesn't really matter this time, but you do want to include all of these. So it should state who you are professionally, your current, your past experience, your education, and so forth. It should answer the question, why are you the relevant person to be given this talk? And this particular section can be tweaked according to the conference that you're submitting to. And for instance, sometimes you want to have your a constant bio, and you want to change one particular sentence about why you are the relevant person to be given this talk. For example, if I were to get accepted with this particular talk about writing CFPs, I would say that my formula has previously helped dozens of people get accepted into tech conferences, but it doesn't have to be there always, okay? So it depends on which talk I'm actually submitting. And the last part, many people often neglect because they don't think it's important enough because they want to stay strictly professional, is that it has to include something personal, something fun, something memorable about you. Maybe you're a cat person, or that you really, really like creating memes or GIFs or whatever. But adding those will give you a little extra flavor, and usually the organizers and the audience as well will particularly remember those parts, okay, not your professional background. So this part is a little embarrassing to me, but I will read my own bio now, because I have to practice what I preach. Okay, so Moran Weber is the CEO and founder of Women on Stage. She's formerly tech lead at Wix with 10 years of experience in software development. In addition, she's a social psychologist holding a master's degree in social psychology along with a bachelor's degree in computer science and psychology from Tao. So this is who I am professionally, my professional background, my education, and so forth. Something personal about me, which is not so fun this time, but something personal about me. In the past, Moran suffered from severe stage fright and imposter syndrome. Her path of overcoming these anxieties included stepping up to as many stages as possible and becoming a renowned speaker and speaker's trainer. So this particular sentence is something that I frequently use, but especially I use that when I speak about stage fright or overcoming stage fright, because it's relevant to that particular discussion. And why am I the relevant person to be given these talks? Once again, especially when it's about stage fright, or how I'm advocating for women. By the way, all of these are like are helpful for women as well, obviously. So her unique background as a software developer, social psychologist, and as a woman in tech, drove her to embark on a mission to amplify women's voices everywhere. So this part is especially relevant when I speak about women on stage and why I do the things that I do and why I care about it. Okay, going next. And something about the bio, okay? Let me quote George Costanza here. If it's not a lie, like they say, it's not a lie if you believe it. It's not bragging if it's true, okay? It's really okay to say who you are at the bio. Don't be shy. You want to stand out, okay? It's really okay. So getting practical. How do we start writing the CFP, and what do we do exactly? So a few recommendations. Please use a Google Doc or a blank document. Don't use the conference form because you will lose all the things that you wrote. Use a Google document, and you can and it's also very, very convenient for both for using it later on and for sending it to someone to get their comments, to get their review, and to hear what they have to say. Please, I don't know who here isn't a native English speaker or not, but please, and even if you are a native English speaker, it's really okay to use AI or some sort of a grammar review. Please don't submit it before you do this step. It's really important. And the last thing is, and I don't know who here knows it or doesn't know it, but I recommend using a title case for the title. So that's the difference between using a title case below, how to write your CFP. All these words are capitalized and these are not. There's a capitalize my title tool that can help you do that versus not using the title case. So it's not a must-have, but it does make you look a little bit more professional if you use a title case. Okay, regarding AI, it's really, really, really okay, and it's great to use AI, but you have to do it wisely. You can use it for brainstorming titles, you can do it for a structure review, but watch out from what I call the Zoolander effect. And the Zoolander effect is when too much AI uses all of these words like revolutionizing, demystifying, unleashing, delve. I really, really like delve. Redefining, changing the way, innovating, disruption, or all of these emojis, okay? People can see right through it, okay? We know you used AI to add all of these words, okay? So it's okay to use AI, but be careful with that, because if it's too AI, it will probably get developers rolling their eyes out when the content is too promotional, when it's too commercialized, okay? So AI is good, but use it with care. Where do you find open CFPs? Where do you find open call for papers? So we have those on, we have a special page on Women on Stage where we regularly add new conferences. There's Contact, Sessionize, Paper Call IO, CCFP. There are many resources for that, and we have like open CFPs all the time. So you have to track those, and it's important to track the guidelines of the conference. they usually have like a paragraph saying, what are we looking for? Okay, read that. It will help you write a better submission. And it also helps if this particular conference is something that you're really interested in, that it also helps to browse past year sessions and to see what they're usually into. And even if your session is quite similar to something that they had like 2 years ago, that doesn't mean that you won't get accepted. Perhaps it even means that they will like you better, okay? Perhaps it even means that you have a bigger chance. One last thing is that it's really okay to recycle and use the same CFP and submit it to multiple conferences, okay? It's really okay. And you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. You wanna try and see where you will get accepted, and then you will get to go there. And sometimes you can even do the same talk at different conferences because it's a different audience, and they don't always mind if you use something that you already done before. Okay. So we've talked about how to spark your creative mind. We talked about how to write a compelling CFP that will help you get accepted. And now is the time to craft your own. So I want you to, so all of you have like a piece of paper and a pen, or your laptops, or your phones. You can use up all of those, that's okay. And I want you to take 5 minutes now and try coming up with a few ideas for a title for a talk that you'll be presenting somewhere. Okay? If you don't have an idea or if you don't know what you want to talk about, you may choose like the last project that you did, or the last the last thing that you were working on, okay? Just for the sake of the exercise. So take 5 minutes and try coming up with a few ideas, and later we will review them together. You will wait for the next stage. Okay. There. All right. Okay. So now I want you to sit with the person sitting next to you, and you're each going to share the title that you wrote, and then ask the other person without providing any more context. Okay, just say the title itself, and try to answer these questions. Number one, is it clear? What do you think it's about? Once again, without providing any more context. Number two, did it grab your attention? Was it intriguing enough? Was it interesting? Are you curious to learn more? And the last part, is it to AI? Do you think it was written only with AI, or does it sound authentic? Okay, so you each have 3 minutes, so this is like 6 minutes. So each of you have maybe you could
What's your title?
Oh, wow, I don't have a title yet. I was running my ears.
Oh,
Do you have a title?
I do have a title. Funnily enough, yes, you have some there's like evolutionist, and I've already seen before.
Oh, no.
So,
Okay.
General evolution, like moving from cells
Okay.
I was mentioning here.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. When you go feedback.
And it's very clear. You're like, this is how we're starting. This is how we're starting at. This is where we're going to go. Like, it's pretty easy to find out. It's what we do in the middle. So, yeah, I would say, like, in terms of tension, is like probably slightly low. And, like, maybe you want to front load some of the second practice. Like, you probably have as, like, a subtitle situation. It sounds like human growth. That's how yeah, exactly.
Very
I had a Alright, so in context, like I work on some meetings, it's like, stuff, so like all about but I was like, sorry, so I was like, I was making
Yeah, usually good. I think if companies read AI on you,
yeah, it's like the best, like,
but that was the title that I was looking for.
Yeah, I saw that.
What he said, the drone was working out.
He reminded me of that. He reminded me of that.
Yeah.
You don't know this yet.
It's a movie
That's totally maybe there's a way to, I don't know, I maybe there's a simplify or something like that to grab attention, but it is very clear.
I was like, so we book you. Don't tell the original 60% of that. It was like, we can sold asleep.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So that is like the was a good press conference and very close to that. Yeah, by that.
So yeah, I usually go to for it. So it's I probably would go in these are really little than we do. It's to my house. That I mean, all of it. For the only was like
Make one of those.
almost there.
yeah, that's it. The check that probably yeah. Like so. Anywhere else, you should watch all this. They're all this. It's like if you want to do that, that's not you know. But I just something to house. Yeah. Oh, they're letting you. Yeah, likes it.
But that's free fall.
Yeah. It's not the same thing. So people are not going to it's not so happy though. Like too much now. People are being informed. Yeah, see, you know. But like that relevant. Oh, yeah. About next. We'll tell them it's no. This is what I'm going to get. Just what you do with that. Oh, I think.
Yeah, so that was a fun topic. It was like, it's very different, but it's student calls that tell them.
Yeah. So this fits into work. So you got any big on here. So this one that's a straight to the sleep back that you don't know what really good out of it. Yeah. Who's that? Just yeah,
Like, it's like snap and shake the apples.
yeah. Okay. I'm like,
I like a lot of it.
for the job.
Okay. I'm glad to see how like the discussion here. It looks really cool. Really happy to say that. So yes, thank you. So does anyone want to share their title? Any brave? Yeah.
Dude, where's my hello?
That's cool.
That's
Yes, hello?
Estipo.
Okay, that's cool. That's a great title. Anyone else? Yeah.
Rabbit strategies as ruled by the Ninja Turtles.
I couldn't actually hear you. Sorry.
Management strategies as full vibe with the future goals.
Cool. Very, very, very cool. Anyone else?
Talents. Good.
You're all very creative here, and I saw from the discussion that it seemed like a lot of fun. So I'm really happy to see that. And okay, so we're almost done. But before we go, I really want to say thank you and to give a little shout out to all of these incredible ladies, and one of them is sitting right there. And to say thank you for inspiring me throughout the years to come up with this content. And they're all part of my team, and they're really, really, really great. And I hope these memorable, actionable steps will really help you take your brilliant idea out of your head and into the stage. And I would love to stay in touch. You're all welcome to connect with me on Twitter, on LinkedIn, and follow me on Twitter. And please keep me posted and tell me about your success stories. I want to know if it's helped you and if you get accepted into some conference out there. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do we have time for questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so any questions? Yeah.
What would you say are the biggest don'ts for abstracts or?
Okay, so the biggest don'ts, I think it's too AI. Okay, when it's like too
Buzzwordy.
Yeah, too buzzwordy, too superlatives. It doesn't sound real. And another big don't is when you're trying to sell something too bluntly, when you're trying to, this is the best thing ever, you have to have it. You can't be too blunt, okay? You want them to think that they must have it, but you can't really say it. Developers are a very, very cynical audience. You have to give them value in order to get their interest in what you're doing. I think those are like the biggest no-nos. And also like being too short and like assuming that they understand all of your buzzwords and that they understand all the things that you're talking about without really giving enough context or enough describing what you really want to talk about in the abstract. Okay, in the title you don't have to put it all out there. Any more questions? No. Okay. You?
Oh, and I'm just sure that think that already have strums. Sometimes they'll link will be very full on or long skewed. In the sense, like, do you know how many guidelines on one of the titles talk about? Like, if you have a long version, how do you short it down? Like, how do you decide, like, a fan of the list? And that was it.
That's a good question, because like sometimes I have a problem that sometimes my abstracts are too long, and then I like them long because I feel like I'm really giving a story there, but people often don't have enough brain capacity to read everything. But if I ask AI to shorten it up, then it really sounds awful, I think. Sorry?
Are they trying to?
Kind of dry, or that it missed my unique voice when I asked AI to shorten it up. So you really have to do it yourself. You can have like a few different lengths, but if you do use AI to make it shorter, you have to validate that the essence is still there and that your unique voice and the value you want to provide in your talk really stays. And it's hard to do so, okay? Sometimes it's really, really hard to take something. That's also, by the way, that's also the case for the tech talk itself. Sometimes we have like a 40-minute talk, and then we need to make a lightning talk and do it like 5 minutes. And it's really, really hard to shorten it up rather than make it longer. But that's a skill, and you really want to you have to identify the most important parts and the most important things that and the most important assets that you want to provide to that. Anyone else?
She was a very good book back in the day. It's called like 7 databases in 7 weeks.
Which one?
7 databases in 7 weeks, where the person or the author explains different databases, kind of like we can spend like a week learning public. Basically, this is another example of good business content that can, about this idea of mobile native versus React native. It's another approach to, people love this type of topics where you can cover different aspects and maybe, comparing clicks. So sell or like X things in X something. It also needs perspective that it took, 7 years to learn this. And now you kind of join this knowledge of your salaries that you spent into this one conference talk. So this is like another idea.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else?
No.
All right. So thank you very much.
Good.